All right. Hi, welcome to this recording. I decided I just wanted to record a real quick video since I had a little bit of time. And this won't be a long one. I'll just be playing a little bit of Halo Infinite while talking about a certain topic, which I've definitely decided on ahead of time. Certainly, I'm not just making it up as I go. Um, that's right. That's right. Our topic for today is who are you? Who are you? It's an intriguing topic, I know. And in fact, I will get into it, but for now, we're going to decide on what it is we're going to play. And I think I'll just be playing some normal firefights, pretty chill mode, and just I'll be talking. So, how's your day? How's that been? I guess I can mention while I'm here. I've not been making videos because I've been busy. That's it. That's the long and short of it. It's kind of sad because I had some good ideas, but I don't have enough time to do everything in my life that I'd like to do. So I have to sort of pick and choose. It's sad, but that's how it goes. So I asked you, who are you? What I mean by that is, what is your core identity? Actually, scrap out the idea of identity entirely. What is your core? What comprises you? It's a deep question. Some people don't have an answer to that. Other people have an answer. I myself, I have thought about it a lot. In fact, I'd say that the question of who am I is easily the biggest question I've asked myself throughout my entire life. And defined a lot of, it's defined a lot of my growth as a person, figuring out who I am, and what really just to do with that question in general. So, who are you and how do you know who you are? And if you don't know who you are, how do you find out who you are? Well, I can't answer all of those questions, I'd say. So, in terms of defining who you are at your core, the question I would ask, there are a lot of questions you could ask, but I think the best question to figure out who you are is to look at what decisions you make. Decisions, I would say, are a large part of what defines who a person is. And I have some anecdotes to share which I think will shed light on this topic. Um, and I think the idea of defining yourself is pretty closely tied with the idea of confidence. Now, when we think about what confidence is, the image that goes to my mind, and this is probably just because I've had this is a thing that I've struggled with for a long time is, a confident person goes up to someone and asks them out, right? That's like one of the most confident things you can do, I would say. And so what we should ask when trying to figure out what confidence is what does it take to go and ask someone out? What is required? Well, confidence is required, but what is confidence? I think what gives someone confidence is the idea that they are sure of themselves, the idea that they know who they are. If you know who you are, then you know what you are willing to give, what actions you are willing to take. And generally, it means that you are defining yourself not based on other people's actions, but based on your own actions, based on I should say that differently. You're defining yourself not based on how other people see you, but based on how you see yourself. It's an internal source of identity rather than an external source of identity. I think that confidence is all about coming to terms with who you are and then using that to essentially just figure out what you want to do. Now, I'm going to go and turn down this volume. I think it's a little loud. I don't want it to be too distracting. To be honest, I don't know if I would even play a game. It just sometimes it helps me think. So I like to have the game going. So you might have noticed that I used a bit of a circular definition there. I said that people who know who they are have confidence, and confidence is gained by knowing who you are. And to be honest, maybe that was just a mistake. Maybe I could have said it better. But I'll give you another way to define who you are. It's based on your actions. You find out who a person is based on the actions that they take. Now, I don't get this from myself. It's actually kind of a storytelling thing. And stories are all about characters' actions and how those come to define them. It's said that in any story you want to put characters in difficult positions where they're forced to make tough choices because that is how you figure out who that character is. And I'd say it's the same in real life. I'd say that what defines me is how I respond to other people, how I talk with them, how I behave, how I spend my time, all of these things, these actions. And I would say that that is the source of of identity in terms of just figuring out what your core is. And there are lots of other questions that can branch off from this idea. Like you could talk about, okay, but the actions you're willing to take change over time. So does that mean you change over time? And if you change over time, does that mean you don't have a set identity? And I'd say perhaps you don't have a set core identity. Perhaps we're all people who constantly change. But I don't think anything's necessarily wrong with that, right? Like it's less encouraging, but perhaps it's true. But I think we're getting a little off topic by going into that subject. I think we what I'm more interested in talking about is this idea of actions. And I think it's less so about, I think that a part of identity, a part of understanding who you are, is about understanding the actions you take here and now. But another part of it, which I would say is understanding what you are capable of, what actions you can take. And really, well, I give that as a distinction, but as I'm speaking, I realize it's really the same thing. The actions you can take are really just the actions you will take. And oftentimes people think like, oh, I can't do that, but in reality they can. And I'm not talking about uh, competency, like I can't fix a car. What I mean is more I I can or I can't ask someone out, right? That's a thing that you can say, oh, I can't do that. But the truth is, you probably can. And what defines you is not actually, I'm going to say it's not actually what you can or can't do. It's what you choose to do. And this realization, I think that you're not really defined by what you can or can't do. Huh. Let me think about that. So this is one of those moments where my thought process kind of gets confused, and it's partially because I'm playing a game. having trouble paying attention. Let me circle back and try to summarize what I'm saying and really just make sure I've got these ideas in a simple format. So, a large part of what defines you as a person is the actions you take. And I'm going to say you're not defined by what you can and can't do. It's more so what you choose to do. And I think a lot of people think they can and can't do things when in fact they can't. Now, here's a big secret which I've been learning. The list of things you can't actually do is very small because when you think about it, at any time you could choose to do something. I could choose to slap my neighbor. I could choose to gift him my car. I could choose to ask out the next woman I see on the street. There are so many things that I could do. So I would say it's more about what you actually do or not. And just to further illustrate this point, I had an experience a few weeks ago which kind of shed light on this reality that I can actually do a lot more than I think. So I've for a while kind of seen a limitation of mine as being related to social confidence, whether I can act with confidence in social situations and sort of do things like public speaking or asking people out like things that are tough from a social sense. I've always thought like, oh, I can't do those. And I've sort of always seen this as a non-negotiable in some sense. Like there are things that are just outside of my realm of capacity. But I had a fun little experience about 3 weeks ago where I was doing this little improv thing just for fun. I was meeting up with some friends and we were all dressing up in costumes and some of us were playing characters. And I was playing this one character who had really high confidence and was super sure of himself and to a fault, like he had no self-awareness. And I played this character and I've never really done anything quite like this, so it was a new experience for me. But what I realized is I could do it really well. I could very effectively play this character and I could be someone with a lot more confidence than I felt like I had otherwise. And that was eye-opening because it showed that my ability to do things is a lot more in my control than I think. I'm more capable than I might assume. And really, the limitations that I think I have are limitations I've invented myself, it would seem. And so what this told me is that, well, I'm a little more malleable than I thought. I think before I was defining myself a lot by perhaps my current state and what I thought I could or couldn't do. But this showed there's really not much of a limitation to what I can and can't do. And so I should define myself less by my capabilities and more by my actual actions, what I choose to do. Because if every action is on the table for me, then the only thing I can really do is define myself by which actions I choose to take from that table. So, and I think I'm repeating myself. I think the point is clear here. And another illustration of this point, I have ADHD, and my ADHD limits me in a lot of ways. There are a lot of things that I cannot do, it would seem. I cannot focus very well. I have trouble planning ahead. it's a form of executive dysfunction. It's really annoying. There are a lot of things people find supernatural, which, or I should say, there are a lot of things people find supernatural that to me are unnatural and forced if I try to do them. And so, am I defined by this fact? Well, I've discovered no. When I when I graduated high school, I decided to stop taking ADHD medication for university since I wasn't taking any math courses, and that's the main thing I needed the medication for. I decided to just stop taking it and see how it would go. And sure enough, I had more trouble focusing, but I did a lot better than I might have thought I would. I was I was able to get all my courses done for the better part of 4 years, and it was fine. And even now, I still don't take medication. I would say I'm not someone who takes ADHD medication. Now I'm about to get to how that's changing now. But in general, it's like that's never really been like a regular thing recently. I'm not someone who takes ADHD medication. But what that tells me, the fact that I was able to adjust and move past those limitations, well, what that says is that I'm not defined by my ADHD. That can change. I can't do things. It takes more effort, but I can still do them and I can change over time such that it becomes easier. Now, recently I've started taking ADHD medication again, and that's actually been quite helpful. It's helping me focus a lot. But I'm not considering my ability to focus good or poorly as an element of my identity. Now I think we might die here. This would be kind of funny since we're on the easiest difficulty. Um, or we might lose the hill, which would also be quite fun because then the game would go a little longer and I can talk longer and I like talking. Oh, there we are. Okay, I think we're about to win the hill, so that's kind of sad actually. But anyway, um, oh, he didn't. There we go. This is fun. Um, I don't want to be on there. He can take it. It's fun being on the turret. All right, so sorry about that. So I'm not defined by my ability to do things, but I am defined by my actions. And something that I've been kind of feeling a strong urge to work on in my Christian faith is to be more of an action man, so to speak, be more purposeful, to be doing things that are loving towards other people, that lift them up, that improve their quality of life. Just take more action and don't and not be like a sort of dormant Christian, someone who reads the Bible but doesn't actually like do that much. I don't want that to be me. And so I've been focusing a lot on like finding better ways to be able to love others. And that's because I realized that I can do things I don't think I can. Now, I do have limitations. There are times where I just don't have the energy to do as much as I'd like to, but I'm not letting that define me. So, what is kind of the lesson here? Like, what am I trying to say as like the overall message of all of this? Well, I think in asking who you are, don't focus on on characteristics. Don't focus on like how tall you are, how you look. Don't focus on how well you can do in sports, how well you can write, how well you can do whatever it is that you do or don't do. don't define yourself by those things. Define yourself by the actions you take in life and the way that those actions affect other people. Now, as for why, this is because your actions are things that don't change. When you take an action, that is permanent. That will always be on the record. Someone will maybe, you know, no one has perfect memory, but someone will probably remember that action. And so, and that's different than, say, if you become really buff or if you get really tall or if you're short. Those things, those surface level characteristics change, but your actions do not. Now, the actions you take can change, and that is fully in your control. The actions you choose to take, that's in your control. But those other traits, they're in your control, but less so, and they're just not as important. And I mean, I would say one of the most important things about a person, something I'd like to be known for, is my values. What values define my life? And the thing about values is that you can come up with a list of cool values, but that means nothing unless those values turn into action. If I say that I value people, that one of my values is that I see people as equal to myself, and I think that we should all treat each other well. If I don't go out and act that out and treat each other well, then it's pointless. I cannot be defined by a value that's not put into motion. So action is the key. So if I was to say something you can take and consider applying to your life, just take a look at not who you are on a surface level, but what actions you've taken in the past and whether you would like those to be the actions that would define you. And additionally, remember that the actions you can take are a lot more open than you think. You have got a lot of options, and even things that seem outside of your ability to do can still be done. I mean, think about it. If you could choose just to forsake everything about who you think you are, those insecurities you have, those doubts, we have the capacity to just turn ourselves into robots and do an action whether we feel like it or not. Like, if you decide to, nothing from within can physically stop you from doing a thing. External factors can, but internal factors, it's all really in your head. In a sense, it is, and some of those things in your head are harder to get past than others. I know that very well. Oof. But it is all, to an extent, in your head. So yeah, just action. Action's important. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Very great thing to adopt into your life. And just in terms of advice for what sort of actions, love other people, care about them, do things that lift them up, and you'll lift yourself up in the process. And don't be afraid to take actions that are scary, because those are the ones that can grow you the most. All right, well, that's all I've got to say. That's also all the time I have. How long did I record for? 23 minutes. There's probably a lot of yappering in there, a lot of saying the same stuff over and over again. But maybe this is entertaining. Maybe you learned something. I hope you did. Regardless, yeah, that's about it from me. So thank you and goodbye.